Good snowy morning, everyone. This is Adam Marcoux, President of the National Teachers Union, coming to you live from my basement because there's a snowstorm, so school's closed today. Last night at the Board of Education meeting, the board voted on the 14-minute proposal and authorized the superintendent to apply for a waiver for 2 additional snow days. So I want to cover both of those things briefly this morning. If you're on the board of directors for the union, all this is in writing and will be coming out to you after I'm done here to disseminate to the membership. So let's start with the 14-minute extending the school day. So in an unusual scene, the Board of Education approved adding the 14 minutes to the end of the school day prior to the unions giving their say. It's unusual because typically the NTU units vote and we bring our results to the Board of Ed. This time I'm bringing the Board of Ed results to the union. So we still do have to vote because we have to change all 4 contracts in regards to workday. So on Wednesday, March 15th, all 4 units will still vote as planned. If there's a delayed opening on Wednesday, we will still vote. For some reason, if school is closed on Wednesday, we will vote on Thursday. So no school Wednesday. I'm not saying that that's happening. I'm just saying that if school is closed Wednesday, all members will be voting on Thursday, and I will send out updated information if that happens on Thursday about when the last school day will be, with all that information that I've been sending out via the Board of Directors. The other proposal that came before the board last night was to apply for a waiver. The union has been asking for this once we hit 6 days, and now that we hit 8, there was a request to waive 2 days. And my understanding, the 2 days comes from the built-in time in our calendar regarding to the 990 hours for high school and middle school and the 945 hours for elementary. So they approved the superintendent putting in a waiver for the student day. And I'm emphasizing student, and if you see all of my posts, student's been in capital letters because the discussion was for student day to be increased, student days to be waived, and that there would have to be discussion with the union on what that would mean for for the teachers, the paras, the food service, and the secretaries. Based on our contracts, which are all based on days, they're pretty specific in where the days use the word pupil in front of it. So I'm going to check with the executive board and then send it up to the attorney before I respond to the district. But my initial thought is if we cut 2 student days with a waiver, that those 2 work days would also be eliminated. Now, we'd have to talk about what compensation looks like. We don't want people to lose out because of a waiver. But that's where we stand right now with those 2 things. Last night's Board of Education meeting had a very small agenda. There is a nice presentation from Fairgrounds Elementary on their priority school status, and then everything fell apart from there. The meeting went until about 10:15, and then I made the mistake of going to Hannaford's thinking there would be no one there, and everyone and their grandmother were there buying things. For the record, I bought ice cream. You can't survive without that. Question from Deborah St. Lawrence: what will the 14-minute addition to the day look like in the daily schedule? A few minutes per block. So I'm assuming you're talking about the high school and or middle school. Last time, to my knowledge, the 2 high schools divided up the 12 minutes amongst the 4 blocks. So theoretically, each block went 3 minutes longer. I would suspect something similar I believe that it will be left up to each school. I know one of the middle schools is talking about using the RTI model and using that 14 minutes for that. I'm not sure what each of the secondary schools will do. The elementary will be very easy to absorb that into something that we're already doing. So you add, we have the flexibility at the elementary level to add time to different blocks as we see fit, because we have our students all day where the others rotate. So that's going to be left up to each individual school, is my understanding. So to recap, 14-minute extension to the day was approved by the Board of Ed. The teachers, paras, food service, and secretaries will vote Wednesday if there's school. If school's closed Wednesday, we will vote Thursday, and I will deliver the results to Mr. Farrington and Superintendent on Thursday. The other recap, they did approve the superintendent to request a waiver for 2 days. We'll have to see what that looks like for the staff, because the language was for a waiver for the student day. I have all 4 contract languages in that email outlining what a school day or the pupil versus teacher, secretary, para, etc. day looks like in the email that I'm going to send out. So we will send that out to the membership so they have that information, and we will continue to work with the school district if they should be approved for a waiver. A question coming in right now. So the high school could theoretically add 14 minutes to E-block. I guess so. It would be up to them to decide what to do. When we added 12 minutes a few years ago, E-block didn't exist yet. But what I'm hearing is that it was expected to be, this is what I'm hearing from people at the high school, that they felt that they would be adding time to each of the 4 blocks and not to E-block. But I could be wrong. I'm not up at the high school every day, and they have a better understanding of how their day operates. So that's where we leave it, unless there's any more questions. Nope, that wasn't a question. It was you're welcome for keeping you in the loop. So to be clear to teachers, staff, parents, community members, the 14 minutes has not been added to any calendar yet. There will be communications on Thursday to the school board and the superintendent's office if the vote's approved by the teachers, the paras, food service, and secretaries. I'm not sure how that vote's going to go. It's pretty much similar to the previous proposal, minus the time in the morning, so I'm not sure that we'll have much opposition, other than the opposition that I've heard loud and clear from the elementary schools that are late, and I did give that message to the school board last night. How much? If we add 14, oh, that's a great question, Marie. I didn't even think of talking about the new last day of school. If we add the 14 minutes and just do that, that will make up 2 days. And our new tentative last day of school would be through Thursday, June 22nd. If we get a waiver and have those 2 days with no more snow days, our last day of school will be Tuesday, June 20th. Linda was just asking about a state of emergency day. As of now, to my knowledge, none of our snow days or snow storms have had a state of emergency declared, and I'm not certain, I have not heard anything about it today of a state of emergency, which could change, and if that happens, then we will, I will bring that to the attention of central office. But to my knowledge, none of the days that we've had so far have been state of emergencies. Now, where some of the confusion comes in is Nashua has had snow emergencies, which simply means there's no parking on city streets, so they can plow. None of those have been state of emergencies, which the only person that can do that is the governor. And I do recall that one of the previous storms, he was criticized for not declaring a state of emergency. So we will keep that in mind. If anyone has information that any of those days were indeed state of emergencies, you can email me at nashuatu@nashuatu.org with that information, and we'll take it from there. Any other questions before I sign off? I can see the scroll. I believe one was the governor shut down on one day, right? I don't believe that the Capitol has been shut down for that. Shutting down the Capitol and declaring a state of emergency, I believe, are two different things, but we can look into that. And that would change things, I think, for one day. So right now, if we get 4 days made up, the tentative last day would be Tuesday, June 20th, and we will go from there. Again, if you have questions, comments, you need to questions that I didn't answer, go ahead and post them here, and I'll go in manually and answer them. If they show up as Adam Marku, that's me. It depends on what app I'm using is how I show up on there. And if it's Nashua Teachers Union, it's either me or Gary Hoffman, one of my officers. So how would we get the 2 days waived? Okay, good question, Gene. So the superintendent is going to write a request to the state to waive 2 of those days because of the amount of weather that we've had. The other thing that they look at is the district making an attempt to make up those lost instructional time. And I think the efforts in Nashua this year have been pretty valiant to make up that lost time with our first proposal to make 4 days up, this proposal to make 2 days up. It's not, we're trying. So that's where I think that will help our cause with the waiver. That's based on information the superintendent gave last night at the Board of Education meeting. And I guess now we're just going to have to wait and see. I don't know how long it will take once the superintendent puts in her request for that waiver to be acted upon. Regardless, I think if we can keep the last day of school, June 23rd or earlier, that Friday, I think we'll be in good shape. Is the waive for students or everyone? That's a good question, Kelly. Right now, the waiver is just for student days, and she said she'd have to discuss with the union what that would mean for the staff. Looking at all 4 contracts, which I will send out that language to the membership later today, most of our days revolve around pupil days, and the word pupil is in front of days, which says to me that if we go to 178 pupil days, that would be the expectation for staff. I want to run all that by the executive board and our attorney before I take my official stance. And when I do, I'll put that in writing to the superintendent so we can discuss that moving forward. And I think that's all I have for you. As I said, if you have more questions, post them to the video or to my initial post earlier today, and I will get those. And once I'm done here, we'll take this down, add some fun captions, and send it out to everyone on the board and the membership. So I hope you enjoy your snow day and stay warm and safe. The good news at my house is unusual. The plow has come by 3 times. Unfortunately, they were 3 times in a row. So I may not see the plow again until tomorrow because I live in the back of the neighborhood and we're lost for everything. But I've seen the plow and the mailman came already. So stay safe and warm, everyone, and hopefully we'll be back at school tomorrow.